All right, today we are learning, we are continuing in our quest for knowledge, and we're learning this week's Torah portion, which is Chaye Sora. And Chaye Sora contains the very interesting and unusual story of Abraham sending his servant Eliezer to find a shidduch, a match for Yitzchak, his son. So, but let's start off in the beginning. Well, let's start off in the beginning of the portion, of the section at least, the story about finding a wife. So it's called, the whole Torah portion is called Chaye Sora because it begins after Sora passes away. And strangely enough, it hasn't really got that much to do with the life of Sora. But never, it's called the life of Sora because her offspring are the continuation of her life. All right, so let's start off. Here we go. So this is how it starts off. This is how the story starts off. Avram Zaken, Avram was old. Bobby, coming in days. Hashem berach as Avram bakol, and God blessed Abraham in everything. Let's open this a little bit. What does he mean that he blessed Abraham in everything? What does exactly this mean? And why does it tell us that he was old and also that he was coming in days? First of all, we know that before, we learned in last week's parsha, it says Avram Sarah Zakanim. It already said that they were old when God came and told them the next year you're going to have a child. So it already was announced to them. So we know that Abraham was old. He's not going to get any younger from last week. So let's see what it means. First of all, let's say Rashi. To Rashi, it doesn't seem to be a problem that it says that Avram was old coming in days. It just is a problem. What does it mean that God blessed Abraham with everything? What does it mean? Blessed everything with everything? Well, what does that mean? How can you bless him with everything? So it says, Bakal, this is the Gematria Ben. That God blessed Avram with a son. Ben, since he was a son, and he also, his wife passed away. So now he wants to get his son married off. Says Ibn Ezra doesn't exactly agree. He says God blessed Abraham bakal, ba'orach yamin, long life, osher, riches, kavod, fame, honor, banim, sons. Right, he had Yishmael also. Mikol chemdat adam, everything that a person desires. Dorash, and some people say shabita ohayatan. Some people say that Abraham had a daughter, and her name was Bakal. That was her name. Well, that's pretty interesting. It says a daughter. It said a son. Well, let's just jump down here to the we'll do a little bit of the Malbim afterwards. Here, this is interesting. Here we have the Yalkut Shimoni. Yalkut Shimoni, of course, as you know, is a midrash. Midrash. It says, Avram Zaken Bam Yamin. What does it mean that he was old and he was also coming in days? So it says, Ateret Tiferet Seva. It says that old age is like a crown of glory. B'derech tzedakah timatzeh. Rabbi Meir was going to the Mamale, a place, Ra'otan, Kulan, Shechori Rosh. He saw that all these people in this place, they all had all black hair, young. Omar, Tomor Mishpachos B'nei Eliatam. I know that you must be young people. You're probably from the family of Eli. Now, Eli, if you know the story, he got cursed over there with, all right, it's not important. Like it says, V'chol marbit beito yamutu anashim. It says that all of them will die young. Omerlo, they said, Rebbe, titpalenu, please pray for us. He went to this place, so everybody was young. There were no old people. It means that almost everybody must have died. Omer Lahem, he said, Lechu v'tiplu b'tzedakah, go and give charity, and then you'll get old age. Like it says, the Teres Tiferes Seva. How do you know? Because it's Zeret Tzedakah, when you get charity. How do you learn that from Avram? It says, when it says that V'shamu derech Havaya, after God said to him, he will do charity, then after that it says Avram Zaken. So that's what he says. Where did Abraham get this old age from? Because he did charity. But there's more, and it's really actually very nice, but let's just go over here. Here's an interesting thing here. It says, let me find this. All right. Avram Zaken, he was old. This is one of the 7 miracles that God made. We'll see what this is. Until Avram, there was no old age. Until Avram, people didn't get old. David Baina Mishtai Bahari Avram, a person, Abraham would come in, or someone would want to talk to Avram, he would talk to Yitzchak. They looked the same. Asa Avram, a boy Rachmim, so Avram came along and asked for mercy. God made a new thing in the world, old age. Like it says, Avram Zaken. Adasa Yaakov, until Yaakov came. Avram Zaken, he brought old age into the world. Okay, next story. Adasa Yaakov, before Yaakov came along, Lo Vichulsha, people didn't used to get sick. Asa Yaakov, Uboy Rachmin. Yaakov came along and he asked for mercy, and people started to get sick before they died, weak. Like it says, Vayomer Yosef, like it says that they came to Yosef and they said, your father, who was Yaakov, is sick. What's the good thing about being sick? We'll see. Ad Asalisha, until Elisha, there was no such thing. Lo yekatzira de'etpach. There was no such thing as a sick person that got better. As Elisha by Rachamin, Elisha came along. It says Velisha chala et chalio, and shlosha chalim chala, and that it says that he was sick 3 times. In other words, he got better from each one. Some people say like this: Avram requested old age. If you ever learn Mishnah, Midrash, so that's how Midrash goes. Sometimes it brings different opinions on the same exact occurrence. Avram requested old age. What did he say? He said in front of God, Rabbonu Shalom, if the person and his children come into a place, in Olam Yadin, they don't know who to give honor to. If you give him old age, then a person will know who to give honor to. In other words, it doesn't mean he's going to get sick. He'll just look older, so that at least people can tell a son from the father and give honor to the father. God said to Abraham, Chayecha, in other words, you're right, Davar Tov Tavata. You requested a good thing. Mimchahu Matchil, and I'll begin with you. It says, Adkan Ein Bo Zikna, because up to now there was no age. Since Avram Avinu, they gave him Zikna. That's what it says, Avram Zaken. Yitzchak, he requested that there should be Yisurim, that a person should suffer. Omer Lafari said in front of God, why would you want a thing like that, suffering? Omer, he said because of said in front of God. Adam made below Yisurim, a person that dies without any suffering. Mirat Adin, Metucha Kenegdo Umeit. It means he's going to die, and all of the severity will come after he dies. But if you bring suffering, then after he dies, he'll say, I suffered already in the world. There won't be any more suffering. God said, you're right. Davar Tov Tavati, ask for a good thing. That's what it says. Adkan, up to the Yitzchak, there was no suffering before a person died. Since came Yitzchak, They gave him suffering, like it says, Vayiki Zakin Yitzchak v'techen of Miros. Yitzchak became old and he was blind. Yaakov, he requested sickness. He said, God, Adam made below holy, a person, if he dies without getting sick, his children don't come to visit him. He'll die all of a sudden in the middle of the street. Nobody knows if he's sick. Because he's sick, 2 or 3 days, so his children come to visit him. And they know, like it says, God said to him, Chayecha, by your life, you're right. Davar, this is wrong. It says Davar Tov, not Chatuv, I don't know. Tavata, Mimcha, I think it's a spelling error. You request. And Mimcha, I'll begin with you. That's what it says. Vayagid liYaakov hine avicha chole. Avram, so he brought into the world a new thing, old age. Yitzchak, he brought suffering. Yaakov, he brought sickness. Chezkiyahu, Melech Yehuda, Chezkiyahu, he was right in the middle of the first temple. Chezkiyahu, Melech Yehuda, he was the thing that a person could get sick twice. He could get sick and get better. Omer Lefanav, because he said in front of God, Rabbonu Olamim, says Chezkiyahu was supposed to be Mashiach. Lo tov la'adam, it's not good for a person that a person will be well until the day he dies. A person will be healthy until he dies. If a person gets sick, and he gets better, he'll do tshuva. He tasted a little bit of death. He'll realize, wow, I am in the hands of God. It's just a miracle that I got better. God said to him, Chayecha, you're right, by your life. Davar tov tavata, you requested, and from you I'm going to begin. That's what it says. Michtav Chezkiyahu Melech Yehuda b'chal yoso yeh v'yichye michalov. When he got sick and he got better from his sickness. Chezkiyahu was the whole story that Yeshaya came into him. The prophet Yeshaya came into him and he was dying. Chezkiyahu was dying, and he said, "Why am I dying?" And the prophet Yeshayahu, he said, because you're not having any children. You don't want to get married and have children. He said, listen, I saw with prophetic vision that my children are going to be really evil people. And I don't want to have children. They're going to make trouble. And Yeshayahu said, don't mess around with the secrets of God. God has a commandment. You're supposed to get married. You just do your part. Let Hashem take care of it. And sure enough, he had a son that was really a big Russia. It was Menashe. He was really bad. In any case, he said, okay, so you know what, Yeshayahu, I'll take my daughter and get married to your son. I don't remember which one it was. Or my son will get married to your daughter. In any case, and maybe from that will come something good. And it didn't. Came Menashe. Even though Menashe in the end of his life did tshuva, so I guess that's a sort of a good thing. But Menashe did some really, really heavy sins. Really heavy sins. Killed people in idolatry and. Anyway, from there, you can learn from that story. Also, you can learn that if the children are, not good, God forbid, a person should have children that are, it doesn't show necessarily on the parents. You can't get any holier parents than Chezkiyahu Melech Chezkiyahu Melech and the daughter of Yeshayahu. I'm sorry, it wasn't Chezkiyahu's son. Chezkiyahu was himself, and he got married to Yeshayahu's daughter. Can't get a better parents than that. From here, we say a person that gets sickness, ben choli lecholi choli kaved mishneim, and that between the mikan shehaya ben choli lecholi choli kaved mishneim, that between one sickness and another, there can be even a third one, which is even worse than both of them. So in other words, a person gets sick and he gets better, and then he gets really sick, and then he gets better, and finally he gets the third sickness and he dies. That's what he says. A person can get sick twice or three times. So it says, Hashem Berechas Avram called, God blessed Avram with everything. Aju ben Batorim, when Abraham was in the Brit that Hashem made between the pieces, Basru Shehu Noten Lo Ben Acher. He said, I'm going to give you another son. He already had Yishmael. He was going to give him a son after Nun Beit Shana, after 52 years. How was he old? He was at the time at the Bris Ben Basarim. He was he had Yitzchak. He was 100 years old. So here he was at the time of the Bris Ben Basarim. According to what he says over here, he's 48 years old. Ben Memchas, he was 48 years old when he recognized God. At that time, I saw other places that Bris Ben Basarim was when he was 70 years old. In any case, that's what it means. Bakal. B'zechut ha'maser, like it says, v'yitain maser mikol, because of a charity. Okay, here we're going to see about this thing about the daughter, and then we're going to go to Eliezer, his servant. Hashem blessed Avram with everything. Rabbi Meir said, Shalo hayata lo bat. Abraham had all sorts of daughters, sons. He had Yitzchak and Yishmael. He didn't have a daughter. And God blessed him with a daughter. Rabbi Yehuda Omer shahayata lo bat, that he did have a daughter. Other people say bat hayalo, that he did have a daughter, and that Bechal was her name. Rabbi Eliezer Modai said, Istaginas Gadola Yatal Avram Belibo, says that Avram had a, what is it, the zodiac or something. All of the kings of the Mizrach and Marav, they would come to his door. That's what it means, Bechal, that all the people in the world were coming to him. Avram, I guess he knew how to read the stars. Rabbi Shimon ben Eliezer said, Margalius Tova, Abraham had this amazing diamond or precious stone, Tuluya B'Tzavara, that was on his neck. Shekol Chula, anyone who was sick that saw it, immediately he got better. Ubashash Nifta Avram, when Avram died, as God took it back, Vatala, and he put it in the sun, on the sun in the sky. Omer Abaya, I know that's what it says. People, midli yoma, idli katsira. It says when the day goes away, then the sickness goes away. Yes. Davar acher, shalom mered Esav b'yamav. Esav never made any trouble when Avram was alive. Davar acher, she'asa Yishmael tshuva. Some people say that he made tshuva. We said that Avram died when he was 175. He was supposed to live 180 years old like Yitzchak did. But God made Avram die 5 years early so he wouldn't see his grandson go and do sin, so in his lifetime. So that's what it means. He blessed Avram. That was the blessing that he got. Okay, here's an interesting one, and then this is it. Listen to this. Tana Rabbanan, 3 people that the Yetzer Hara did not rule over them. The whole history of the world, there were only 3 people. The Yetzer Hara had no rulership over them. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Like it says, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. 3 people, God gave the taste of the world to come in this world. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. That's what it says, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. Kol, it refers to the world to come. It says later on in the curses in Parshas Kitavo, it says that God will punish you. God will punish you because you didn't serve God. Mirov kol, and the Arizal learns out from that kol means heaven. You're supposed to serve God with more happiness in this world than all the happiness you could receive in kol, the world to come. 6 people. There were 6 people that the angel of death did not rule over them. Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov are 3 of them. Like it says, the Chesiv Bahu Bakol Mikol Kol. There's other midrashim, some people say 10 people, but we know certainly of these 3. And there is also, it says that Yaakov Avinu Lomet, it says that the angel of death didn't rule over them. One is Yeshua ben Levi. It says he didn't die. We all know that Elijah the prophet, is that what he called? Elijah? Eliyahu, a Navi, he didn't die. It says Mashiach will be a person that he won't die. It'll look like he dies. He won't die. 6 people never died. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, like it says, Balkol, Mikol, Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam, like it says, Al Pi Hashem, they died Al Pi Hashem. Miriam, even though that it's not written by her. Okay, that's enough, I think. Huh? Here is 7 people, there did not rule over them worms. Their bodies did not rot. There's a whole thing, and where's it, Baba Kam, I think, that someone went down into Martha Machpelah and he saw Sora cleaning the hair of Avram. Anyway, it says 3 people that worms, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, like it says, Bahu, Bakol, Mikol, Kol. Moshe, Aaron, and Miriam also, 3 more. And if you could dig them up, you would see that they were not touched at all by anything. I mean, in a way, they're supposed to be alive, it says. It says that the angel of death didn't touch them, right? So it's nothing amazing that worms didn't rule over. This is the angel of death didn't. Okay. Another one is, it says, Al Pi Hashem, Binyamin ben Yaakov, also it says, Yedid Hashem Yishkon Levetach. And some people say also King David. Let's see, Basri Yishkon Levetach. Okay, let's just do a little bit more over here. Let's just flip over if we can. I had a little more planned for today, but the story about Eliezer. All right, here, let's do this. All right. So Abraham says to Vayomer Avram el Avodo Zakan Beso Hamoshel B'Kol Asher Lo, that ruled over everything he has. Simi na yadcha tachat yorechi, put your hand under my thigh. What type of a thing is this? So Rashi says, Lefisha anishba, because a person that takes an oath has to take in his hand something of a mitzvah, like a Sefer Torah or tefillin. So there was no Sefer Torah or tefillin back there. The only real commandment that there was in the world that God gave directly was the circumcision that Abraham had. Hayata mitzvah rishona, ubola al, and also it came to Abraham by means of pain, so that it was very dear to him. Vanatla, therefore he took the place of the bris. That's what he said, Yurechecha, why didn't you put it under Abraham? It says that Avram circumcised everybody in his house also. He could have had, because Avram was the first one to do the bris milah before his servant. I mean, listen, Abraham also circumcised Yishmael also as his son. And he did it Yishmael first. That's what it says. Yishmael was circumcised first. In any case, it was very dear. That's what he says. Because it was very dear to him, to Abraham, so therefore he said, put your hand under my bris. And that's the there's a very interesting story, by the way, and that is with Rav Or HaChaim HaKadosh, Rav Chaim ben Atar. And Chaim ben Atar, he lived right in the time of the Baal Shem Tov. The Baal Shem Tov said that Rav Chaim ben Atar, he lived in Morocco, that he was holier. The Baal Shem Tov said that he was holier than the Baal Shem Tov himself. There's stories about that, though, that he was given the secret of washing his hands, and that the Baal Shem Tov wasn't given the secret. In any case, there's the story that he's one of the few people that are called Or HaChaim HaKadosh. He's called HaKadosh, the holy. There's not that many people that are called the holy. So it says that the reason that he's called Or HaChaim HaKadosh, they say that once he's lived in Morocco, he was very respected by the king, and to this day, the king of Morocco is on very good terms with the Jews. So he said that once there was a lion that got loose, a huge lion that was from the king's palace, and they were afraid to do anything. I guess they threw, shot arrows at it. Had no effect on this lion, and everyone was afraid, like, to go out into the street or go anywhere near it. And the lions can jump up. You could jump up on a balcony if somebody's on a balcony. So everybody was petrified of this lion, and they didn't know what to do. And everybody had to close their stores, and the country was, the whole city was shut down. So either the king called for him, or Rav Chaim Ben Attar, he himself offered his services. He went out into the street where the lion was, and when the lion started to approach him, he showed the lion his brit, the place of circumcision. And because that's the place of the covenant between a Jew and God. So, in a way, it's the most holy part of a Jew's body. And of course, Or Chaim himself was a holy person, but this was the holy. And it said that the lion immediately crouched down and very placidly allowed the Or Chaim to lead him back to the cage and put him back in the cage. It's something like Daniel, when Daniel was in the lion's den. The Alter Rebbe says in Perek Chav Dalet of the Tanya that it was really not a miracle, and it was outside of nature, that the lions did not eat Daniel, because the nature is that wild animals are afraid of humans. It's just that people don't act like humans. And that's what Or Chaim was, the example of a holy person, a true human. And that's what this is. That's why it's called Ora. Okay, so that's why he put his hand under the place of his bris. Okay, well, that will suffice with that right now. Here's an interesting. We'll do this tomorrow. That finally Eliezer, he goes on this mission that Abraham tells him to go on, namely to find a proper bride for Yitzchak. So he makes this strange condition. He makes it on his own. And if you remember, we're learning about this in the Sikha that we're learning in the morning, that he seemed to be very independent over here. And what did he say? He said, I'm going to go now and I'm going to stand on the well. And the young women are coming out to draw water. And we're going to learn the Malbim on this, but we're going to do it tomorrow. And he makes a sign. The daughters are going to come out and they're going to draw water. And the girl that comes up and says to me, Asher Omar Aleha Hatina Kadech, that I say to her, please tilt your pitcher and I'll drink. And she says, drink, and also I'll bring for your camels also. This is a proof that to your servant and to Yitzchak, and this I'll know that you have done a big miracle with my master. Now, this is going to be the sign. She's going to come out with the other girls, and she's going to have a pitcher on her shoulder. I'm going to say, will you give me something to drink? And she'll say, I'll give to you, and I'll give to your camels. That's it. That's all that I need. Why is that all? What is that a good sign? So we'll learn about that, God willing, tomorrow. Now let's learn Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, laws of Shabbos. Mm-hmm. Sick people. The laws of healing on Shabbos. Let's do one or two here. Good, all right. We did this already. We did this also. I think we got up to 15 yesterday. Yeah, we started this. We didn't finish it. Okay. Here we have grandpa is sick. And we bring a doctor, and the doctor says he needs a fresh, a schnitzel. Schnitzel. That's the only thing I said. What's a schnitzel? You have to slaughter a chicken, and you have to light the fire, and you have to cook him up a schnitzel, and that'll save his life. Okay. Now, what did we learn before? This implies that now I have to do for grandpa 3 sins. Of course, they're not really sins because it's permissible for me to do it. I'm saving his life. So really, there's no sins at all. But on the other hand, I am transgressing the Shabbat. If grandpa wasn't sick, that would be called transgressing Shabbat. I'm doing things that would be forbidden if he was well. Right? If someone comes up and says, Rabbi, what are you doing? You can't light a fire. I said, no, my grandpa is sick. He's dying. The doctor says I have to shech the chicken for him and make him a schnitzel. Okay, so now let's just look at this law. First of all, I think we already learned that if I do shecht for grandpa this chicken, so how much can he eat already, right? So there's going to be all this chicken left over. Is it permissible for me to eat the chicken that I slaughtered? Yes, it's permissible. Can I cook it? No. Cook it? No, I can't cook it. How am I going to eat it then? You can eat it raw. You can eat a chicken raw? He says, yeah. There's a law that you can eat raw meat. You don't even have to salt it. You have to wash it off, take the blood off the surface, and you're allowed to eat. As soon as you start boiling it, then the blood comes out and it makes the water forbidden, everything. But if you want to just eat raw meat, you can do it. I don't advise you to do it, but you can do it. Okay, here, now, but 1 second. I have another idea. Why should I slaughter the chicken for grandpa? Let's get a non-Jew to just cut the chicken's head off. After all, grandpa is dying, right? So it's permissible for him to eat not kosher food. If he could shecht, it would be better if he slaughtered it himself, but he's too sick. So it's permissible to do anything. So it's not really a sin. He can eat not kosher food. And that by means of that, I avoid maybe I'm not even allowed to slaughter the chicken. If a non-Jew is there and he can do it, maybe it's better that he should do it. So let's see. If there was a sick person and there was a danger to his life and he needs meat, cooked meat, you can shecht for him. And we don't say, let's give him, I can shecht for him. And we don't say, let's give him unkosher meat. Let a non-Jew come and cut the chicken's head off. Then it'll be an Isser Lav. Then it'll only be what's called one negative commandment. And I won't transgress. Every time he takes a bite out of this meat, he's going to be doing a negative commandment, but at least it won't be a Shabbos. The Shabbos, it's the punishment of Shabbos is death. Ki Shabbos nitna, we don't do that. Because Shabbos nitna, the chut kavar, b'havara b'bishul. Because we said that Shabbat is already totally permissible. The doctor says he has to have a schnitzel. The doctor therefore says that regarding cooking, boiling, lighting fire, it's okay. You can cook. So if so, you can cook. You can also slaughter. So therefore, it's better that I should slaughter the chicken than a non-Jew. Also, in the nevela, every time the grandpa eats a bite of this nevela, he's doing a lot of sins. True, the sins aren't as severe. To defile Shabbos is a very severe thing. It's punishable by death. And to eat not kosher food, it's of course not good. But it's only it's a less sin. The punishment is much smaller. It's only lashes. But the problem is that now grandpa, every time he eats a kazayas, let's say an ounce, he's going to be doing a sin. True, not such a big sin, but it's a sin. And even if he eats less than a kazayas, it still is also a sin from the Torah. It's not punishable by lashes. Every time he takes a bite, which is not the case if I shecht for him and it's kosher, then he's only doing one big sin, or I'm doing the sin in any case, even though the sin is much worse. But it's better that I should sin and do one big sin than I should have a goy kill the chicken and have grandpa do a bunch of little sins. Also, there's something else, that if the meat is not kosher, maybe grandpa won't want to eat it. He'll take the very minimum, he won't be able to eat it. But nevertheless, if the sick person has to eat immediately and all there is not kosher meat, let's say, for instance, grandpa has to eat it and I don't know how to slaughter. I don't know how to slaughter a chicken, but he has to have a chicken. But he has to have, the doctor said that it'll save his life. Therefore, I can kill the chicken however I want to. Then nevela is prepared, and the shechita will take a long time. Therefore, you can feed him nevela. But what if grandpa has to drink wine? You have to boil wine for him. Now you have to boil wine. So what should you do? So we figure, okay, same thing. I can do the sin. This is not, here it's a little bit different. The Jew should pour the wine into the pot, and the non-Jew can light the fire, according to the custom that we explained before. And you have to watch it. Why? Because wine that was touched by a non-Jew is not allowed to be drunk by a Jew. Shelo yigabo, so the non-Jew should not touch it before it boils. Boiled wine is boiled wine cannot be defiled by the touch of a non-Jew. Mavushal. So what do? You pour the wine into the pot, have the non-Jew light the fire underneath it. Then as soon as but the non-Jew should not touch the pot at all. He shouldn't, even though the fact that if he does touch it, there's nothing wrong with it. Why? Because this is only just a transgression from the words of the Easter Sofrim, and grandpa is dying. He can do anything. Nevertheless, when the Jew heats it up, the Jew will be doing an Isser from the Torah. The Jew will be doing an Isser from the Torah. And here, you don't have to worry at all that the non-Jew, that the grandpa will say, oh, I don't want to drink that, because it's not such a big transgression. Right. So in other words, the non-Jew is now cooking the wine. So it's sort of like Bishul Nachri. Right. If the Jew would boil the wine up, then, so we allow the non-Jew to boil up the wine, light the fire, and boil up the wine, and that's not so bad. Right? And we don't have to worry that grandpa won't, because the Isser is not so bad. Grandpa won't say, I don't want to drink this wine because a non-Jew heated it up. What do you say, Yochanan? When do you have to leave today? We'll talk about it. Let's go. Yud Zion. when the doctors said that he has to eat one date, and 10 people ran, right? Grandpa has 10 sons. They all ran into the garden, and each one of them plucked a date. So, I mean, 9 of them should be guilty, right? I mean, let's say they all come back and they find that one of them already plucked the date before. So 9 plucked the date, which is a forbidden thing to do on Shabbos. It says all of them are exempt. Even more, they get a reward from God. Even if after he eats the first date, he gets healthy. But he eats the first date and he gets healthy, and the other 9 come running in afterwards, huffing and puffing, and say, we ran, we got him. Hey, Grandpa, wow, you're already well. So it means that what? That they plucked the dates unnecessarily, right? This is wrong. They were doing a mitzvah, and their intention was good, and they had every right to pluck the grapes, to disregard the Shabbat in order to save Grandpa, even though it ended up that they had no hand in healing him, that he was already healed by the time they came back. Okay, what if they say that Grandpa had to eat 2 dates? 2 dates will make Grandpa healthy. And all they found was 2 dates that were joined to a tree, each one by itself. And therefore they would have to pluck 2 dates separately. But there was another option. There was another branch where there were 3 dates joined to one branch. Okay, so now what do? Do we break off? All he needs is 2. So if we break off the branch, he's going to get 3, which is unnecessary. So do we do 2 pluckings and bring him exactly what he wants, what he needs? Or do we do plucking echad, pull the whole thing off, but he's going to get more than what he needs unnecessarily? So it says, Koreta oketz sheish bo shlosh. Pull off the branch that has 3 dates on it. Sha'af shemar grows, even though that he's pulling off more than he needs to, nevertheless, memad batalisha, nevertheless, he's doing less work. That this is the main malacha that he's doing, is plucking. So it's better that he should pluck once, even though he gets 3 dates, then pluck twice, even though he brings exactly. Okay, that's not such a big novelty. Here, this is what he's getting to. But if there were 2 on one branch, and there were 3 on another branch, so maybe you can say, well, what difference does it make? I mean, you're just plucking off one branch here or one branch here. What difference does it make if it has 2 or 3? Well, it says, well, Grandpa only needs 2. Therefore, don't cut off except the branch that has on it 2. Because it's forbidden to do work you don't need to do on Shabbat. Shamalacha nasid bo. Even though she'enu marbe b'toreach hamalacha, even though that you're not adding anything on, that everything is done at once. Nevertheless, if he really, okay, so therefore it says, don't do it. Don't do it. Bring the small. For instance, Grandpa needs, you have to carry a table. You have to carry a table. You have to bring a chair. In order to bring a chair, you have to bring it from outside. You have to carry it in a public domain to a private domain. So it says, if you can bring a chair that exactly fits him, then, and there's also a sofa there. So don't say, listen, I'm carrying anyway. What difference does it make if I carry something big or small? It says, no, you carry what he needs if it's possible. But if the situation is urgent, then we're not careful. You take whatever comes into your hand, whether it's a sofa, whether it's a this, if it's urgent, whether it's 3 on one branch or 2 on one branch. Let's do one more. A sick person that he is bedridden, but there's no danger, or that he has a pain in his body and there's no danger to his life, but the pain is so great, this whole body is sick. This we can see very commonly if people have a flu or something like that, a sickness. Nowadays there's no flu, everything is corona, but there used to be a thing called the flu. And you get the common cold. There was a thing called the common cold. People used to get the common cold. When you had a common cold, sometimes it could be very, very powerful that a person would just, his head would hurt, he would be able to have a fever, he had the sniffles, he was all stuffed up, and he would sleep long. Remember, there used to be that. Nowadays, they put him at the hospital, they kill him. Didn't used to be that way. So a person gets a flu, and he has a fever and his whole body, but there's absolutely no danger to his life. As then, who dome, even though that he's a person that is like bedridden. So this person, a person that's bedridden, or a person that's totally incapacitated because he's got such a flu or whatever he has, so this person you can't transgress anything for the Torah for this person yourself, but you can transgress the Torah by means of a non-Jew, because telling a non-Jew, non-Jews are not commanded to keep Shabbos. It's forbidden for you to tell a non-Jew to do work for you on Shabbat, but that prohibition is only from the rabbis. Therefore, it's permissible for you to tell a non-Jew to do anything, even a malacha gemura, even something from the Torah. For instance, to cook for him, to boil for him if he needs it. Even though there are all these malachas that are forbidden, even from Divrei Sofer, you cannot, they didn't permit a sick person that's not a Jew can't do any of these things from the Torah for a sick person that's not in danger. But hitiru isri bishul nachri b'Shabbos. A non-Jew, usually on the weekday, right? A non-Jew is not allowed to cook from the beginning. If you have a non-Jew working in your house, so that non-Jew is not allowed to light the fire and cook underneath it. There's different opinions. Some people say that you have to also help him to put the thing under the fire. But in any case, a non-Jew, here cannot do what we're proposing that this non-Jew should do on Shabbat. What should he do on Shabbat? He lights the fire, he puts the food on top of the fire, and he's cooking for a person. There's no danger, but he's just very, very ill. He's bedridden, or he's very, very weak. So this is called bishul nachri, and it's forbidden in the middle of the week. If a non-Jew cooks for you in the middle of the week, right? Let's say you have a non-Jew working in your house, and you forget to light the fire underneath the oven, even though the food is totally kosher. Because the food is permissible, and just that the non-Jew cooking it, that would make it forbidden. And here, it's not forbidden because it's a person that's sick, and the rabbis permitted him, this person who was sick, bedridden, to eat food that was cooked by a non-Jew. He permitted it. But a Jew cannot do anything for him. Even if this person stands to lose a limb. Right? There's a doctor that comes on, a person, he breaks his toe. Terrible pain. Oh, excruciating pain. The person is totally bedridden. And somebody comes in, right? The sports teacher in the school says, listen, if you don't take this boy to the hospital now, he's going to lose that toe. He's going to lose that toe. You say, is there any chance that he'll die? Come on, he's not going to die. There's only, let's say, 3 hours left for Shabbos. But I'm telling you, if you don't take care of it, it could be that the tendons he's going to lose the toe. Can't do anything. You have to find a non-Jew to take him to the hospital, but you cannot take him to the hospital. Even though nowadays they say that even if a person has the most minor internal damage, that it could result, it could, how do you say, develop, have complications and be a danger in the soul. But let's just take the cold case, right? A person, there was even a case like that here a long time ago. A boy, he cut one of the tendons by accident in his hand. And they had a big question, can they take him to the hospital or not? I don't know what they did in the end. I don't know what they did. But it's a matter that if they didn't take him, it could be that he would lose the limb, use the use of his hand. The cold law is that if there's no danger to his life, even though there is a danger to a limb, you cannot transgress the Shabbat by means of a Jew, by means of a non-Jew, yes. Well, the Chalal of Yisrael be Yisrael Divrei Sofrim, but what about, here's this person, let's take this person that he cut a tendon, right? And he could lose the use of his hand, but there's absolutely no danger to his life. So it says, a Jew cannot transgress the Shabbos for him. A non-Jew can tell a non-Jew to do it, yes. What about if there's no non-Jew around? What about defiling the Shabbos from a transgression, a prohibition of the rabbis, Divrei Sofrim? For instance, to make a healing that's forbidden because of shechikas kasamim, giving him aspirin or something like that. There's a reason why you're not supposed to take true medicine on Shabbat, because there's a decree from the rabbis that maybe you'll come to grind up ingredients, and that's forbidden. So here we have this person. Let's go back to our case. He cut a tendon. There's absolutely no danger to his life in any way, but there is definitely a danger to his hand. Might lose the use of his hand. So it says, for a Jew to transgress from the Torah, no. For a non-Jew, for a Jew to tell the non-Jew to do it, that's okay. What about for a Jew personally to transgress a prohibition from the rabbis? Like, for instance, things that the rabbis made a decree on, taking medicines, because the rabbi said maybe you'll come to crush up herbs. Even though giving them a pill, there's no type of a malacha there, there's no type of a prohibition, even from the Divrei Sofrim, or even if there is a little something from the Divrei Sofrim and doing it, like, for instance, giving a massage or something. Nevertheless, it is permissible to do it without any change. Miderech hachol, in the weekday, if there is a danger of a limb. Okay, now we're going to have a new element added in here, doing a transgression from the Torah, but in an unusual way. Oh, so let's see. So taking a pill, is permissible to do even the way you would do it in the weekday, if there is danger of losing a limb. Even though the person is regular, he says, I can function regularly. Nevertheless, if there is the danger of a limb, then it is permissible to transgress anything from the rabbis. A Jew can do it. What was the note? You had a note over here? 1 second. Where's the note? 1 second. Excuse me. Can't get to these notes over here. All right. I can't get to the note that you wrote to me, but let's just finish this one if we can. Sorry, I know you wrote me a note, but I just can't access it. Oh. Okay, good. Wonderful. Have a good day. We'll do this tomorrow then. Shalom.